Mazda offers a new trim and the same excellent driving dynamics for 2024 CX-5. I'm Jay and this is Modern Motoring.
Welcome to the 2024 Mazda CX-5. I'm in the top trim signature, and if you're wondering where Steph is, well, she was in Europe for a few days and her flight got canceled, so she's not here today. She'll be here at some point tomorrow, so you're stuck with me for this review. As far as what's new for the 2024 Mazda CX-5, the brand's bestseller, there's a new trim, and that is called the Suna trim, and it's just below the top trim signature, which is what I'm in now. I wish Mazda Canada had put me in the Suna, but it's okay. This is still an excellent vehicle, excellent trim. What the Suna trim offers is some fancy gloss black bits on the outside, still have the 2.5 liter turbo engine, same as you find here in the signature, and you get a cool terracotta interior and some cool fancy stitching colors. And if you don't necessarily want the top trim signature, the Suna sits just beneath it, so maybe that's something that you're looking at. And the big difference is visual, and it is the cool Zirca sand metallic paint, and I think it looks really sharp. I'm not really a fan of the neutral tones as far as car colors go, but what I do like is that Mazda's done it extremely well, and it looks really, really sharp. The Suna trim is also available on the Mazda 3 hatchback, which they call the Mazda 3 Sport, on the CX-30 and the MX-30. Power-wise, we've got the 2.5 liter turbo 4 engine, 227 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, and that's if you put 87 octane in. And given the way gas prices, let alone prices of everything else are going, I would highly suggest that you stick with the 87 octane. If you do want a little more oomph out of your CX-5 signature with a turbo engine, throw in your high octane, and that gets you 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. All-wheel drive is standard, which is an excellent move by Mazda, and as is the 6-speed automatic transmission, no CVTs here. And that's, to me, what really sets apart the Mazda CX-5 from everybody else in the market. The driving dynamics have always been the strongest in class since the first generation of the CX-5 came out. It drives more like a car to me than it does an SUV, and Mazda's always had such impressive driving dynamics, and it's not fun to drive. Let's save that for things like the Mazda MX-5 Miata. But as far as having a little bit of enjoyment behind the wheel here, the CX-5 definitely comes through. It's well balanced. There's plenty of get up and go here. If I'm considering the CX-5, I'm only considering the turbo engine. Yes, the non-turbo engine is fine and adequate, but for a small price bump to go into the turbo engine territory as far as trims go is absolutely worth it. Again, the driving dynamics are best in class to me, and they've done a couple of tweaks. Your handling is slightly improved here. I feel it's a little more well balanced across the board. And really, Mazda's consistently done well with driving dynamics across their entire lineup, not just the CX-5. On the cargo side of things, it's a 40-20-40 split, and 871 liters is what you get with the seats up, but those seats down on the second row, and that number goes up to 1,680. Smart move here is Mazda has included latches in the trunk to lower those second row of seats, so you don't have to go from the trunk into the second row through the rear doors, under your seats, and then go to the back and do whatever you have to do. A cool thing is there's a reversible cargo tray, and it's got a little bit of texture on it, so depending on what your needs are for cargo space, definitely has that there. And there is a spare tire as opposed to a fill kit in the Mazda CX-5. On the standard safety side, Mazda has a long list, and it includes their radar cruise control, their blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane departure warning, lane keep assist system, and automatic high beams, plus a couple of others. Their smart city brake support for the front is standard, and if you go to higher trim, smart city brake support for the rear comes in. Another thing that's new for 2024 are price increases, and it goes across various trims, and the price jumps go anywhere from $700 to $1,300, and that's in Canadian funds. So it's not we're the only ones doing it. Everyone's putting up their prices. In fact, the Civic went up $5,000 when I reviewed it, I believe, earlier this year. I think it was the 2023 model, but that's just the way the world is now. Everything's going up in price. But to have such a small increase, maxing out at $1,300, that's a pretty decent move by Mazda. As it's a carryover model, not much is new, so let's jump into some old school stuff for those of you that have been watching the channel for a few years, and do a little perks, quirks, and irks. So I'll start off with my perks. The rotary controller, absolutely wonderful, has that very high-end premium BMW feel to it. I hope Mazda never gets rid of that. That is absolutely wonderful. 10.25-inch screen is standard. I know some other manufacturers play around with smaller screens on lower trims, but thank you, Mazda, for not doing that. HVAC layout, still my favorite in the industry. It is so small and condensed, but it's not full of that cluttered feel where you have too many hard touch buttons. I think there's a great balance here. Speaking of touch, the screen is not a touch screen unless you're using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and then it does become a touch screen, but there's a little asterisk there. You've got to dig into your settings a little bit, and then you have to go to make the touch screen available while in motion for all devices. I'm the first one in the 2024 CX-5 Signature. I got it with a couple hundred kilometers, and it looks like out of the factory, it's set to not be a touchscreen when in motion. When the car is stopped, yes, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto can be used through the infotainment screen using your finger, but again, out of the factory, once you're in motion, you can only use the controller. Another perk is standard LED headlights and daytime runners and taillights. A very premium move here. I know a lot of other manufacturers don't offer full LEDs all around, so good job, Mazda. My only quirk is with the heated rear seats, and that's depending on which trim you get. To activate them, you have to lower the armrest in the middle seat, and that's cool and that's great. It's hidden, makes the doors look a little cleaner, but the problem becomes if you have somebody sitting in that middle seat, or if you have a car seat, or if you're carrying large boxes, or for whatever reason you can't get that armrest down, then your outboard passengers on the rear seats, don't have access to their heated seats. Finally, my irks with the 2024 Mazda CX-5. It's a non-fully digital dash. Yes, there is a digital screen in the middle. I believe it's a 7-inch one, but as far as your bookends, they are analog dials, and it's 2024, and I think they're saving it for the all-new generation of CX-5, but for those who are heavily swayed by tech, this might be something that goes against the CX-5. Next up is there is no panoramic sunroof available. You only get the single panel. Wouldn't be a deal breaker for me, but it's very high on my wants list as opposed to needs list. It's also very dark in here, so I think having that panoramic roof would really brighten things up. There's a little too much panel black here. It's in the center console and it's on the doors, and it just gathers fingerprints and a couple of light scratches, and it's nearly impossible to get that out. Finally, there's no hybrid version. There is no alternative propulsion version. It's gasoline or nothing, and the competitors, which include the Toyota RAV4 and the Honda CR-V and the Hyundai Tucson and the Kia Sportage, all offer either hybrid or plug-in hybrid variants, and I think Mazda's missed on that. Right now, the only thing available for alternate propulsion is their CX-90, which is all new. There's a CX-70 coming. I think the CX-50 will get a hybrid sooner than later. I think it's supposed to be here next year. We'll see what happens, and we're not fully back up to speed as far as global supply chain stuff goes, but I think that Mazda should put out the CX-50 in some kind of hybrid / plug-in hybrid variant sooner than later. That's a good segue into fuel consumption. So every 2024 Mazda CX-5 runs off a 58-liter fuel tank. Again, your choice if you want to go with low octane or high octane. Natural Resources Canada tells me that it's 10.8 liters per 100 kilometers in the city. It goes down to 8.7 on the highway, and your blended total comes out to 9.8. Over around 500-ish kilometers, I'm at an even 10. I've done probably a fair balance of 50-50 driving between highway and city driving, so I'm pretty much right on track with that. And yes, the non-turbo engine will get lower figures. A hybrid would get lower figures as well. Last touch will be on pricing. So the top trim signature for the CX-5 for 2024 comes in at $44,950. That's before any of your fees are added on or your freight or PDI. Two big competitors I see are the Honda CR-V. That comes in around the same price in the mid-40s, and the RAV4 comes in at $47,834. So borderline high 40s, and those are both for the top trim as well. Secondary competitors I see are the Hyundai Tucson, and that comes in at low 40s. I think it's $40,599. And then the Sportage, which comes in a little higher at just a touch under $43,000. So I think Mazda is pretty well placed, and those who value driving dynamics and just having a minimalist approach on the inside as far as design goes and a respectable design on the outside, those are the people that will look closely at picking up a CX-5. If you have any questions on the 2024 Mazda CX-5, let us know in the comments. We are always happy to hear from you. Feel free to subscribe and join our social media community. And we're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by December 31st. It's only a few months away, and hopefully we can get there with your help and your support. On behalf of Steph and myself, who will be here in the next video, thank you so much for watching, and we really, really do appreciate you.